Welcome back to the DNA Pest Control Podcast. I hope everybody had an awesome Thanksgiving and Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and everyone spent all their money, right?
Exactly, yeah. A lot of stuff happened.
How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. I definitely am paying for it this week. First time back in the gym yesterday, but really great seeing some family and celebrated my birthday too. So it's a lot of fun. What about you? Trip to Utah?
It was good. It was really good. We kind of went the route of, we do some of the conventional like turkey food, you got the turkey, you have the honey baked ham, but now we do brisket.
Oh, okay.
On top of that. So I guess there's this group of guys who take on these meat projects, and they will literally go through thousands and thousands of pounds of meat trying to figure out the best way to cook something. Oh. And they did it with the brisket. They did it with the turkey. And so now my dad does the turkey, my brother does the brisket, and he does it the way that they do it. And it's actually shockingly really, really good. Like the turkey it's not dry. It comes out like it's actually really moist meat. So
got it down to a science.
Hey, they do it. And so, yeah, we've kind of branched off. So now we don't do just, the regular meats that you're supposed to. We've taken a turn. Soon it's going to be like a full on barbecue.
That's what we do. We bring turkey and stuffing, but it's just a bunch of Filipino food every time, so it's great.
Hey, the whole point is just to eat.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter what's there. It's just eat a ton of food.
Of course.
So, well, awesome. Okay. So today it is going to be, I guess, part one of the part two of the part one, if that makes any sense, because we already did an episode on two of the sections on common mistakes with sales. 5 and 6 is part of the number. It's 1 through 8. 5 and 6 we hit on last episode of you're not making it easy to say yes, and you're not prepared to overcome objections. So we may skip those ones, right, Aaron?
Yeah, let's skip those. Our last episode really covered those too.
Yeah. So we're going to go through the other 1 through 4 and then 7 and 8 today on common mistakes in sales. And just a quick thing I'll throw out there as the tech, being out in the field, I was a salesman first and then I was a tech. But it's amazing once you learn the skills of sales, how much better you can communicate with customers and how much better you can relay some of the information and knowledge that a technician has.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's in every industry, because if you've ever seen a doctor and talked to a doctor, they're like these monotone, have zero eye contact. There's no emotion behind them. And it's like, okay, dude, you know your stuff, but you have zero people skill. And there are the doctors who have that, and they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's those dentists that have that, and they're booked. Everybody wants to go to them. And then you have the guy who just studied it and is like, I don't really want to talk to people. I just want to do what I was taught. And it's usually not good. But sales is a huge way to bridge that gap. And so for all the techs listening in, even on past episodes, we talked a lot about sales, but this is a good common mistakes, not just on the sales side. I will even bring in some of my input on the technician side on how this relates really, really closely to that. So Aaron, you can take it away.
Yeah, sounds good. And, I'm looking forward to doing some more of the tech episodes. I know we've been kind of sales heavy past few, but
we'll get it.
It does coincide with each other though, But anyways, the first one, and they're not in any particular order, but first one that pops out is disagreeing with your clients. And something that we find in, a lot of the, older sales reps and people that do more of like the old school style selling, like the hard closers. Really what works for me is reassuring and redirecting. Even though you do have the correct information and you understand the right solution, being right isn't going to get you the sale. No. It's like, do you want the sale or do you want to be right? You know what I mean? Like, which is more important to you? I've also found that just spitting out facts to the clients doesn't really go as far as going over stories and past experiences. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot easier to disagree with facts, but when you lay it out as a story, like, hey, I hear what you're saying. Here's what we found. Here's what's worked. It's almost impossible to say like just an absolute no to that, you know?
Yeah. No, and actually I have an experience yesterday.
Tell me.
With a guy and disagreeing with a client. Now, this is on the tech side. This isn't the sales side, right? But it also does have everything to do with the sell.
Sure.
So we went out to his house. He was showing me kind of, you know, he had rodent stuff. And this was the guy who moved his appointment to next week. But he was talking about bats. And so I kind of was going through the whole bat thing. And I didn't tell him this, hey, this is what you need to do. He already tried a bat box in the past, and he never told me that. I just said, hey, I have an experience, a story, you know, with another lady who actually did it, and it worked. They put bat boxes out on trees a little bit further away from their home, and it resolved their issue. Now, I didn't say, I'm like, I don't know if it's going to work 100% in your situation, but it could reduce it a ton. It could help them not nesting on your home. They could be going straight back to the bait box or the bat box. So that is one way that I didn't, I wasn't disagreeing with him on his methods or anything like that. I was just throwing him out ideas on, hey, this is what we can do. But off of that, if someone is telling you something that may be wrong information, that is great time to kind of sit there, listen, and reflect, because you can gain so much leverage over that person to get the sell.
Yeah.
Because if they have this one method that they've only used and this is the right way or whatever it is, even though it's wrong, you now have a way to step in and say, hey, no, it's actually this way and this is why and this is how, and then you can use your stories behind it.
Yeah, sometimes I'll ask them. I'll try to get that out of them. And I'll ask, say, like, what have you tried in the past that hasn't worked? You've never hired a professional pest control company. You said you've kind of always had spiders in the garage, rodents running around. I'm like, tell me about what you've done. And they'll tell you everything they're doing wrong. You know what I mean?
Oh, I had a lady today. This is another one where so many people would disagree with the person.
Yeah.
She said, well, for rodent stuff, she said, do you have traps? Like, what do you use? And I said, to be honest, we're going to use the same traps you use.
Yeah.
We don't have this magical trap, that we get that you can't get.
Right.
I said, but it's the knowledge behind it. Because what you're doing is you may have trap shy rodents. You may do, there's a lot of stuff behind it. And I was explaining that to her. And I said, it's just the knowledge behind what we're doing. And the process of why we do it in this way helps gain the success. That's why it hasn't been working for you.
Right.
I'm disagreeing with her.
Yeah.
I disagree with what she's doing, but I didn't say that. I didn't say, hey, you're an idiot. You're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I said, look, this is, what you're doing is actually correct. You're just doing it the wrong way. You have everything out that's ready to go. You just don't know what you're doing, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not your job. It's my job.
Yeah, and salespeople are naturally just problem solvers by nature. So kind of a jerk reaction is just to like quickly get the information out and solve it immediately. And if you just calm yourself down a little bit and reassure them and redirect the conversation in a way that ends up closing the sale.
Yeah, and I think that's a thing with techs is we jump the gun to disagree with somebody instead of showing them. It comes back to the facts. We do have to show them more facts than you're wrong, but we have to show them in the right way. But there is a way to say it correctly and not to. Same in a sell. I sold this lady on something that she says she can't afford, but she's paying for it. So obviously she can afford it, but she wants it gone. And she even asked, I can do the same thing you're doing. Yeah, I guess so. You just don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I do. And I sold her on that, and she's going to do it now. Well, exactly. I think. Someone's got to call her and follow up. But she said she's ready to go.
No, she's doing it. She's on board.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that was with it where I wasn't disagreeing directly, but it was an indirect disagree, with her and her, but I was just educating her at that same time.
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember how he said it, but it was like, you can disagree with people two ways, like implicitly with your tone and then explicitly with the words you say. You know what I mean? And you can really if you're understanding what the client's saying, you can really get ahead of that before you shoot yourself in the foot.
Yes. Yeah. And I can see what he means by that. Cause when you're doing it, and you're directly disagreeing and you're saying it, you can have your body language involved too, right? You can move and your face expressions, everything your tone of voice can be disagreeing with that person. Or you can straight up say, no, you're wrong. That's not how it's done.
Right.
But there's a better way to disagree with people.
100%.
You can disagree with someone, but there is that soft way to do it to where it doesn't look like I'm directly disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
So, but that is a huge one, where a lot of people don't know how to disagree. And then they end up losing that sale.
Yeah.
Or getting the customer pissed off, and then they never want that tech back on that property.
Oh, yeah.
Because you disagreed with the person, but in the wrong way. So there's a right way and there's a wrong way. I agree with that.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's good.
For sure.
Cool. On to number 2. You didn't follow up. How relevant?
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a huge one. I've done that a ton.
I think everyone's learned the hard way. Any seasoned salesperson has learned the hard way.
Yeah, well, and I think that is one that people are terrified of, is follow-up, because it's confrontation. And today, most people will say, I'm not confrontational. I hate confrontation, right? Most people start to label themselves that and believe it so much that when you actually have to go back and talk to someone, they're terrified to do it. And I've seen it. It's worse and worse and worse today. And you'll actually see, I bet there's a massive difference between really good salesmen and just mediocre or even good salesmen. I bet there's that massive difference because they follow up and others won't. They'll just go look for that new sale.
Yeah. And you think it's just because they're fearful of just that, of the rejection of them saying no, or it's easier to get a new contact, or what do you think that is?
I think it's where we live today.
Okay.
We're on Instagram. We have text messaging. We have so many forms of communication that's indirect.
Yeah. That
people are terrified for that direct.
Yeah.
Most people aren't making phone calls anymore and actually talking on the phone. They're talking through text messages, or through Snapchat. They're sending a video. You're not even talking to that person.
Yeah.
Or the Marco Polo app, you can send a little clip and that's it. You don't get that direct contact. You don't get to see their expressions on their face. That's why I say, I don't want to talk to you on the phone. I want to meet you in person.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to sign you up. If I get you down and we're sitting at a desk, I'm going to sign you up.
Yep.
Most likely. If we're talking on the phone, that drops dramatically.
Yep.
If we're just emailing or messaging, good luck. It may not even happen. And I'm going to go more towards it may not. But, but I think that's a big reason is people are or they'll just send a quick text.
Yeah. Just to quickly send it, put your phone away. Don't look at it,
And then they're terrified, but I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But in my experience, the follow-up is usually the hardest because it is the confrontation and people are terrified to go back in and talk to that person.
Yeah. I think what helped for me getting over that hump and getting more confidence is just looking at it face value. Like if I'm sitting here talking to you, the potential sale, who's not? The competition. If I'm calling and texting and just checking in, see how everything's going.
Yep.
Who's not? The competition.
Yeah.
And it was just that simple. Like instead of worrying about how I would be perceived or how I thought other people would look at me and how I do, my sales process, quote unquote, it's like, I'm just here to solve their problem. And me checking in is not, how can that be a negative on my end?
And honestly, and that's great. That's exactly how people have to look at it. And how I got over it was knocking in neighborhoods. So the best salesman I've ever known, and to this day, I still have never met someone probably better than he is. He would stay in one area for a month.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally knew everybody.
Yeah.
It was like he moved into that neighborhood.
Yeah.
He literally, and he sold almost every house in that neighborhood.
I believe it.
But he would stay in neighborhoods for so long. And so there was always something there where I'm like, hey, what is he doing and why is that working, right?
Yeah.
It's the follow-up. Guys who were jumping from neighborhood to neighborhood to neighborhood to neighborhood to neighborhood and never followed up with people never got a ton of sales. But But that dude, every area, it was like 50, 60 sales in a little neighborhood. And then he would finally move on. Or we would make him, because it was like, dude, we can't knock here anymore. Everybody's complaining. Everybody wants out. And we'd be driving an hour to drop you off. And then finally he'd be like, all right, fine, whatever. I'll move.
Yeah.
But it was all because of that follow-up. He wouldn't knock that door once. He was knocking that door 10, 12, 15, 20 times until that person answered. And then the other thing is if someone said, oh, come back later. I came back later. And some people were pissed. And I would be like, well, why'd you tell me to come back if you're mad at me now?
Yeah.
You told me to come back.
It's
and
later.
then they were kind of like, oh, crap, I did, huh? Yeah, that's why I came back. Or I wouldn't have showed back up. So don't get mad at me.
Yeah.
You told me to come back. What, did you think I wasn't?
Yeah.
But I think it is. It's people are terrified because are you going to be mad? Are you going to make, are you going to yell at me? Are you going to say something? It happened, to Ron.
Yeah.
He did it. He went out to the
porch.
The porch, garage, whatever. Guy got a little angry.
Yeah.
Said, stop bugging me. Come back later. Never did.
Yep.
Hasn't been back out since. He got scared.
Yeah, it traumatized him.
And I bet you if you showed back up when that guy calmed down, I bet he'd apologize.
For sure.
He'd say, hey, man, I'm sorry about that. I overreacted. I do want to sign up. I just was overly stressed, whatever it is. Thanks for following back up with me. And most people actually apologize and thank you. But you got to get past that fear.
Right.
Once you get past it, follow-up's amazing.
It's just repetition, It comes with experience on that.
Oh, yeah. But I do agree with that. I actually would say that one and another one we're going to hit are probably the top two that most salesmen don't ever do.
Oh, yeah.
Is those two. But we'll hit the other ones.
Cool. No, that's good. That's good. On to the third. This one's a little bit different. It's you never learn to bleed and smile. So what do you bring into work with you? I was just talking to you about this. Clients are a lot more perceptive than we give them credit for. And they're very aware when you're not there 100%. If you didn't sleep too much last night because you're stressed, or, you just lost a huge sale, or the last month you had 0 sales and this is your last chance to, get a bonus. And customers know that. Right. And for me, even whether it's stuff going on in like my personal life, or like I don't have momentum in sales or whatever, like I have to remind myself, like, why did I get hired for this position? Like, I'm a salesperson.
Yeah.
My job is to produce sales. I'm not saying be fake. I'm not saying just ignore all your problems, but what I am saying is, like, in a sales scenario, be the professional.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that's a huge one that a lot of people take a lot of time to learn and figure out. Is they do have issues at home and they bring that to work.
Yeah.
They do have a hard time out on the doors and they carry that to the next door. There's a video that's viral that's going with Kobe Bryant. I don't know if you've seen it. They essentially, they ask him, like, well, what happens if you fail or regrets? And I may be murdering this, but it has to do with, failing and not doing the right thing. And he said, why think about it? Why would I be upset about a game I lost? I have to wake up the next day, no matter what, whether I win or lose. I have to go to bed. I'm going to wake up the next day and I'm going to practice again. Doesn't matter what happens.
Yeah.
If I win, guess what? I got to do the whole day again. If I fail, guess what? I got to do the whole day again. And I think that is something that people have to take with them. And it's so hard because everybody wants to say, poor me, because that's what gets them the attention.
Right.
But the truly successful people, I think, don't. They don't care, because they know, today's shitty, but I got to wake up and do it again tomorrow.
Exactly.
So it's just a new day. So why carry that over to the next day and then the next day and then the next day? It's, how can I correct it today, or how can I correct it tomorrow? How can I do better tomorrow than I did today? And it's as simple as that, because I think people want that reaction. I think people want to see somebody upset. And when they're not, it's like something's wrong.
Yeah.
That's not right. He should be mad right now.
Like, what are you hiding? Yeah.
But once you master that, it is amazing how customers do feel that. It's amazing how customers do see that. But it's even, I had a guy at the door, he was just like turned around and walked away from me. We didn't even finish the conversation. And I just smiled and said, "Okay, dude, have a good day. I'll get it all done."
Yeah, see you later.
You know, like, I'm not going to let that affect me.
Right.
I don't know if his dog just died. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like he could be going through a rough time. He's not directly, you know, hurting me in any way. He just turned around and walked away.
Exactly.
You know, but I think it's a big one, and it's hard. It's hard to learn. And I'm not even sure how you could teach that to people. I think it's practice.
Yeah. Most of the stuff on this list is practice. Yeah. And I think just eating no's consistently will help you with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or even being put in a stressful situation where you don't eat if you don't sell. And it's amazing how quickly you can get over people who are pretty pissed off at you.
Yeah. True.
You brush that off really quick when you're like, I can't pay my bill if I don't sell.
Yeah.
So I don't really care what these 100 people said because I still got to pay my bill.
Yeah. I still got to sell either way.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it is practice, ton of practice on that.
Cool. So that was number 3. Number 4 is you are not listening. Seems simple, right? But it happens so much, you know, and you can get into like the technical side of listening. Like, are you actually being attentive? Like, are you there? Are you making eye contact? Are you nodding? Are you like taking notes? Or are you kind of checking your Apple Watch, checking your phone and answering a phone call? You know, another thing too is, are you asking relevant questions? You know, because I can see it, you know, just watching a sales process from the sidelines. It's like, if I'm explaining a problem and then the salesperson asks me a question that's way out of field, immediately it's off-putting.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you were obviously not listening the entire time and you were just here to get the sale.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've seen it a ton on the doors. Is guys will go knock on the door and they're running through their pitch, and they may have had success with a lot of outdoor roaches, for example. And
I see where this is going.
And then the person would say, "Yeah, I got black widows in the backyard, in the shed. It's really bad." And they're like, "Yeah, so what about the cockroaches? Are you seeing those too?" And they're like, "Well, no, not really. I'm, you know, more worried about the black widows, you know, that are in the backyard and around the play structures." And they're like, "Oh, okay. So anyway, what we do to take care of cockroaches." And
oh my God.
But it's shocking how many people do that. People will say, "I have issues with rodents." Okay, cool. So we take care of ants too, and we do this and we do that, and they don't listen.
Yeah.
They just run right over, like, well, everybody else in your neighborhood has ants.
Yeah.
So you have them too. So I'm just going to talk about ants.
See, be amazed. You really would be. And that's the thing too. It's like, you know, I said, are you asking relevant questions? And more importantly, you know, are the questions you're asking, are they going to actually solve the problems that they're presenting? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you can have a question, but make sure that it's tailored to whatever they're dealing with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and that's it. 4 and 1 go together. So if everyone remembers what 1 is, it's disagreeing with clients.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so if you're not listening to them and you're not paying attention attentively, right? You're not, you know, it says make sure you have recommendations or you're addressing their concerns, right? So you have to be listening to them to address those things. You have to be listening to their disagreement. Even with all these customers that I've been going to recently that have been pissed off at previous technicians because of work they haven't been doing, why are those people always super nice to me? And why are they always so rude to everybody else? Right? Are you listening? Are you addressing their problems? Or are you just disagreeing with them the whole time? You know, why does Derek love me and hate everybody else?
I wonder why.
Who's listening? Who's disagreeing?
Yeah.
You know? So that is something, and that's another one that you have to just practice, is don't just close your mouth, you know, and allow them to speak, but it's what are they saying?
Right.
You know, you ask someone their name and they say, "My name's Stacy." Do you say, "Okay, see you later, Stacy," at the end of the conversation? Or do you say, "Hey, see you later, have a good one"? What do you say? Because I guarantee you, if you add their name at the end, they're going to say, "Holy shit, This dude remembered my name.
Yeah.
He was listening to me, because that's something that you do have to practice with, is when it is important in that sense. You're asking on the tech side. We go into a situation, you have rats. Most people are like, oh, okay, well, this is what we do. No. It's not what we do.
No.
It's where are the rodents? Ask the customer.
What are you seeing? What are you hearing?
Yeah.
Where
are you seeing them? When are you seeing them? At night, during the day. You're hearing these things. Okay, you're seeing them in the kitchen. I probably should look around this area because there's got to be an entry point close. You got to pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah.
And especially selling, things like that. We just had great example. And I'll throw Ron under the bus on this one.
Let's do it.
Is we went in to the garage. What is it called? The garage?
It's the garage. The one down the street is the porch.
Yeah. The garage. He walked in, and remember, he just threw up on the guy.
Yeah.
Literally just started vomiting everything at this guy.
This guy was washing glasses, talking to people at the bar,
Yeah. And he ended up saying something about, do you remember? Do you remember the situation? I bet you if I went back, I could sign this guy up.
Guarantee, because I remember what I do remember from that.
Were you listening?
I was no, see, you got me.
Were you listening?
No, I remember that when as soon as he said, I pay X amount for my service, you said, can we take a look at that and kind of check out an invoice and see what it looks like? He immediately went back and grabbed the laptop, and it was hard to find out what the previous pest control company was actually doing there.
Yeah, so that was one of the things. There was another big one that I think was the main thing that got him, is he said that there were bar flies, which they're just drain flies, right? And he was talking about the flies, and I said, well, there is a little device that we can put in every drain, and we can clog that up, and then they won't come back out, right? And so I think at that moment, right, Ron was like, well, here's this mosquito thing, and here's a bait box, and we can do this, and we can do that. And the guy's like, I have flies.
Yeah.
Right? Now, on the side note of taking control and doing that, I think that's another one where we should talk about not common mistakes on sales, but more of things that salesmen need to do.
More often.
More often, or even taking control of the conversation, because people lose control of the conversation and they think they're selling, but they're not. They're just listening.
Yeah.
Which that's where this can be bad and this can be good.
Oh, good point. Good point.
So you need to listen, but you need to listen and control the conversation, because that's where people get lost, is they listen, but then they don't have those follow-up questions that are going to guide them in the right direction to actually the next step that we're going to talk about. But that's where they don't guide them in that direction.
Yeah.
It's just, where he said, oh, you're seeing bar flies. Where are you seeing them? And he goes and says, okay, I'm listening. I'm trying, I'm paying attention to him. He's showing me where these are. Okay, we have these devices, blah, blah, blah. How much is your company charging right now? Right? I already got the information. I know his problem. I know how we can take care of it. Now it's, well, what's going on?
Yeah.
How much are you paying? Because now it's going to come down to the dollar. Am I going to be cheaper than them, or am I more expensive than them, or I'm bringing you more value? There's got to be something there.
True.
But it's all about that listening and that control.
Very true.
But listening is huge.
I like what you said, though, how it can go both ways. How it could be a positive and negative.
I think you have to be careful with it, because if you sit back and you're a good listener, that just means you're listening. You're a wall. You're quiet, but it's, and he may have gone over, I don't know how in depth he went into the listening part of it, but there definitely should have been the listening and then following up with a question.
That's what I was just going to say too. I think it boils down to the questions themselves.
Yes. And you're taking control of that, and you're guiding it in that process to where you need to come up with number 7, like I just did, right? I just took control and I guided it to the next one.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Yeah, so if you're counting numbers 5 and 6, like we said earlier, were our last episode, it's not, you're not making it easy to say yes. And then number 6, you're not prepared to overcome objections. We did an episode on that. We went a little bit more in depth, but.
And definitely go listen to it if you want to listen to those two, because it was really good.
Yeah.
All the information we did put on there.
Yep. And number 7, you never go for the close.
Yeah.
As a salesperson, how do you never go for the close? It happens all the time. I do it sometimes.
Oh,
I'll catch myself and it's like, did I try to close them? Like, did I ask for the sale? And, a lot of people just never do, especially new salespeople.
I think it's, what do you do when you're coming to the close, right? Because I think that's the big issue is why people don't close. It's how?
Mm-hmm.
What do you say?
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, do you want pest control service now?
Well, now I don't.
Like how do you do it?
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a valid question with a lot of people is, okay, cool. I get that may be a big issue, but so then what do I do at the close?
Yeah.
What have you done, to close people? What were some of your tactics?
Yeah. I mean, some of the more simple ones I like to use, I was explaining earlier, the alternative close where it's like, if you have two things you're trying to sell, you don't ask them, do you want to get it? You say like, which of these two would work better? You know what I mean? And that's such an easy go-to one, even on the phone with residential clients. When you're selling like your general premium elite services and you're throwing these add-on stuff, and it's like, based on what you told me with the spiders and you said you had some rats running around the house, like the elite does come with the bait station and the fly, but the premium, we still do the webbing, which one makes more sense? And they're going to say, you know what, let's start with the elite, you know what I mean? And then go from there instead of me saying, do you want to get the elite pest control service for, never goes well.
No. And I can see that. I think that's a good one. So even if you're a technician, you're out in the field, you're doing the rodent exclusion work, I did this, and that's why it's so fresh in my mind is I gave this lady, this is the trapping, this is what we're doing, this is for the exclusion, this is for the bait stations. And at the end, I said, okay, well, this is how much it would be for all this. I said, you're doing the bait stations as well, right? And she's like, oh yeah, the bait stations too. Perfect. You just soft closed.
Yeah, the assumption one. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, so you're getting them. Car salesmen are known for this.
Oh yeah.
So if we can get it down to this price, would you say yes? We haven't done it yet, but if we could and we did get it, would you say yes? That's pretty much what I was doing to her.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, and we're going to do that, right? Yeah, we're going to do that too. You just told me you wanted it. I didn't ask you. I just said you wanted the bait stations too. I didn't say, hey, this is, so it wasn't the hard close, but that was more of we're getting to that point of closing her.
Yeah. I find that a lot with, clients who really want to lay everything out and they go back and forth and they keep worrying, you know what I mean? They keep, what's the word? They get cold feet. Yeah. Like, in the beginning of the conversation, it sounds great. And then they're like, I'm not too sure. I need to talk to somebody and check my finances maybe in a month or two. Sometimes I'll just do kind of a quick summary. And it's like, hey, you called and you were like, you have a rodent problem or you have roaches in the bathroom, right? And this is what we have put together to solve that for you and effectively take care of your issue. And, all we need is just a signature and we can come out and do it this weekend.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know what? Let's just do it.
And convenience is a huge one too.
Oh, true.
If you can make it very convenient for them, because that is one where it is, you may not ask for the close. And just for everybody out there, the option close is really the easiest.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't even try to do any other close in this industry.
Yeah.
Because you can go back to, does Monday or Tuesday work for you? Tuesday does. Perfect. Yeah. Done. You just closed them.
Yeah.
They just agreed to it. They didn't say, oh, yes, I want to buy your pest control right now, service my house.
Yeah.
But they said, I want it done on Tuesday. They didn't need to say anymore.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about what people do to get them back out of the close. They may have closed them and then they reverse it.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the option close is the best. So what I've always used on the doors, it was, hey, we can be out here later this afternoon or tomorrow, which one works best.
Yep.
And if it doesn't, they'll say, well, Saturday. Perfect. You just told me you wanted it. I'm signing you up. Done. Or in the case in the office, you say, okay, look, we have, the general pest control or we have the premium pest control. Which one would you like? And then they can choose.
Yeah.
Now, some people do not want to think. And so I've had it where I've told them what they're going to do.
Yeah. No, I do that too.
Because they'll ask me, they're sold. If they say, well, what do you think I should do? I'll say, look, well, in this situation, you're only seeing these types of insects. I'd go with the general. You don't really need the premium. I suggest this one.
Yeah.
And usually then the confidence is through the roof and they are like, whatever you decide, I'm just going to do. Doesn't even matter.
That's so true. That's so true. And going back to the convenience side of it, I didn't even think about that till you brought it up. But in the initial conversation, you know, I can tell if a client is like, I need this done right away. Like I can tell if they've already called like 3 other people and they won't be able to do it. So as I'm explaining the pricing and services, sometimes I'll just sprinkle in. It's like, you know, what's cool is we're actually going to be right there tomorrow afternoon, like after 2. And I mean, if that doesn't work, I think we have this weekend too. And they're like, come tomorrow.
Yeah.
I haven't even finished the actual like process yet. And they basically agree to the services.
Yeah.
Just for the convenience.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's, you know, that's all coming down to that close. It's most people are terrified to just say those last couple of words. They want a hard yes or a hard no. Most people, you know, and it's like, hey, an indirect yes is a yes.
Yeah.
In the sales world. Don't do that on a date.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone's going to get in trouble out there.
Right.
You're like, she was saying yes, but she really said no.
I listened to the podcast and they said,
they said this. No. But, you know, but keep that in mind is an indirect yes is a yes, you know, just like that.
Yeah.
You know, come out tomorrow.
Yep.
They didn't say, yes, I want to sign up for pest control. They just said, come out tomorrow. That could mean a lot of different things, but we know that's exactly what we were talking about.
Yep.
You know, so keep that in mind is using those option closes and getting them to say what day it is. One I love is on a Friday or if someone calls on a Saturday. So weekend, this is like the weekend closer. Okay. Whoever's working on those weekends. I love it when we're getting close to the weekend and they're like, do you guys work on Saturdays? And I'll say, yeah, but they book really fast. So if you'd like, we can get you set up right now and we can get it done for you and put on the schedule. You can always decide if you don't want it later, but at least we can save that spot for you. You want to do that?
I do now.
Yeah. And that's when I will have a hard yes or a hard no. And most people will say, yeah, let's do it.
Because as the client, it's like, I don't want to miss out on that. Like there's a wait list. Like I'm not going to miss that opportunity.
Yeah. So you're building this massive value and remember your industry. This is the other part with the closing that people don't understand is what are you doing? You know, what's your industry? Is it an emergency type thing? Is it a compulsive buy or is it more of a leisure product? Ours is a little bit of both. Ours is going to be a compulsion buy. Someone calls up and they have massive issues right now. They want convenience.
Yep.
They want it today. If you tell them, you know, we build this value up on Saturdays, hey, it may book out. They're going to say, well, no, put me on Saturday. Yeah.
I want part of it.
I want it now. Like, let's go. Now, if it's someone who's just shopping around, that's different. They're going more on the preventative side. It's more of a leisure. It's, hey, this is a commodity. You know, this is really, I don't need it. I just want it.
Yeah.
Those people, you can't use that on. You know, but we won't go into in depth on those type of people because there's a lot to go over on those type of people. There are different people that you can use certain closes on, and there's other people it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to your voice, body language, stuff like that as well.
Yeah. A lot of these intertwine. You know, I can just relate a lot of this to you're not listening too.
Yeah. Yeah. Because a lot of people, that's exactly what it is.
That'd be a good listener to be a good closer.
Yeah. Well, and because if you're listening and you know when to close, you could get the close at the very beginning, or you're going to do this massive maze and it's going to take you 30 minutes to get to the same answer that you could have gotten to within 5 minutes.
Yeah. I'll take 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, most people, you know, they don't know when because they're not listening.
True.
They just, hey, this is my process and I'm going to go through it. And then I'm going to close them at the end. But so keep that in mind. I want to make sure we get it one more time. Remember the option close for anybody who's out there. Today or tomorrow work. That's an option close.
Yep.
Right? You could say, do you want this service or that service? That's an option close.
Which one of these makes more sense?
You could even throw out text if you want, right? We'll get a little creative. Did you want Daniel or did you want Aaron? Who would you like?
Do you want to put this on a card or are you going to cut a check when we get there?
Yeah.
Oh, I just take my credit card.
Yep.
No problem.
Yep. So you're getting there's a lot of different option closes. So be prepared for that, but always push for that close. Shoot. If you miss, guess what? This is the fun part. You go back up to listening, right? There's actually a whole sales process that we didn't put in here. But even if you close and you failed at that close, you go back to step one and you work back through.
Yeah.
Because just because they said no to that close doesn't mean they don't want it.
Yeah.
They just may not want a Monday or a Tuesday. They may want a Saturday.
Yeah.
So don't give up even when they do say no on that close, but don't be afraid to close.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. That's a huge one. And last but not least, number 8, you talk past the close.
What does that mean?
That means that to me, I see it as like a lack of confidence. Like if I was on the phone with you selling you pest control services and you told me, you're dealing with, German roaches and you have rats outside or on the roof or what have you. And we put together this whole plan and I tell you the package and say, how does that sound? Or, you know what I mean? However I say it. Most people, if there's not an immediate answer from the client, like a second or two, they're just going to start talking or they're just going to keep just rambling because they're not giving it that time. I think it's more relevant in face-to-face conversations.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think it comes up more when a salesperson doesn't realize they've closed the person, and they just keep talking instead of just like having them sign or putting in their service notifications or just going to the next sale,
Yes, I could see that a lot because that goes back to, we should add another step, number 9, is guiding the conversation.
Oh, okay.
A lot of common mistakes in sales is they're misguiding the conversation. Because I think what people will do is you do close them, right? You may have closed them in that first 5 minutes. A good salesman catches that, closes, and then just gets to the next step. I'm going to start signing the paperwork. We're going to get credit card information. We have everything in. You're sold. Done. See you later. I'm out.
Yep.
Most people will keep talking for 30 minutes, even though they've already set the close. And the person sometimes will say, yeah, I want it. I've done it. I've been on a door and they're like, yeah, I want pest control. I'm like, wait, just a minute. Let me explain what we're doing. Why?
Yeah.
They want it. They don't want to listen to anything else. And I've told people, I'm like, well, let me explain what we do so you know.
Yeah.
That's talking after the close. They've already told you. Yeah, I want it. I want to sign up. I'm ready. I have issues.
Yeah.
Just get it done.
So it's like, respectfully, it's like, shut up and get the sale.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Do you have any questions? No, I don't have any questions. You're going to do the inside, right? Yeah. You're going to do the outside? Yeah. We're going to take down all the webs too. Okay. Cool. Then here, I just need a signature. I need a credit card. I need that information. Because at first it would catch me off guard. And I would talk after the close. I would talk and try to sell them. And majority of the people are like, yeah, I'm not really too interested. I think I'm okay. Because now they wanted to shop around. When they said yes in the moment, I should have just shut up and signed it. And they wouldn't have said anything. They wouldn't have shopped around. I was convenient.
Yeah.
I was the guy on their door. Now they got to go call 5 companies. They don't really want to do that just to get the same price. It's all going to be about the same.
True.
So that is where I see, talking after the close is where these guys come in, but it's guiding that close, guiding the conversation. You want to get out of, talking to someone. What do? You start looking at your watch. People didn't see me do that, but
yeah, I saw it.
You saw it. But you start looking at your watch.
Yeah.
And then people are like, oh, do you have to go?
I felt rushed right there.
Yeah. And you say, oh yeah, you know what? I actually do have to go. They brought it up. I wasn't rude. They were the ones who said, do you need to go? And I said, yes, I do. Thanks for asking. Right. So there's things where you can guide it and people start to pick up on those hints. And so I can see that where if you're talking after the close, you can destroy it to where they end up saying no to it. I want to do my research. You're not really too confident because you're not going in the right direction. Or you know what? You're just taking a lot of my time. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
You didn't get it the first time. I wanted to buy. You didn't want to sell it to me. Go away.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to just reading the room too. Like you said, like good salespeople will know when they have the close, even if it's not explicitly like presented to them. You know what I mean? Based on some of the things that they're saying, what they're doing. And it's like, you get that feeling, wrap it up and close it.
Yep.
You know,
And this will go out to the techs. Guys, when you have finished the service and you go back up to the customer and you knock the door and you hand them the door tag, don't stand there and look at the person. You are opening up conversation. That's talking after the close. Some guys do that. We had a guy in here who literally would talk to customers for 40 to 45 minutes each stop. And I had to call him almost every appointment and tell him to hurry up and blow up his phone for the first 2 weeks. Because he would literally, I saw him do it. He would walk up, hand him the card, and just stare and wait for them to be like, oh, well, how are you doing? And then that just opened up everything. And then he started going off on talking and talking and talking.
Oof.
But I think that it's that one I would say goes right in line is guiding conversations. Are you guiding it to that end? Or are you guiding it to stay open and open and open and open?
Yeah. Are you aware of where the conversation's at? Are you aware of the questions you're asking? Just, you know what I mean? Being able to step back and see it from that angle.
Yeah. And what I do on doors with people as a tech is I'll say, how's it going? Have you been seeing anything? I take full control. If they ask me a question, great. I listen. I take back control. I'm getting out of there as fast as I can.
Yeah.
And so I'm always, what are you seeing? What's going on? Okay, I'm going to take care of that. I'll spray that area. Perfect. Did you want me to leave the door tag? No, not really. Great. You have a wonderful day. I end it.
That's it.
I am literally asking question after question, guiding it to a close. I'm on doors 2 minutes, maybe less. And then I end it and leave. You know, and that's how every close needs to be is you guide it to the close. You got all that information, even on the phone. Is there any other questions before we hang up? I just ended it. I said, before we hang up, you know where I'm going. We're going to end this conversation. Is there any more questions?
That's so true. Kind of that after the close, you're not really sure how to hang up. That's such an easy one. It's like, is there anything else I can help you out with today? A lot of the time they're like, no, everything sounds wonderful. Or they're like, actually, can we sit on my sister's house too? She lives down the street. And it's like, no problem.
Yeah. And you can even make a joke of it, you know, just, hey, so I can let you get back to your day, you know, so I can stop bugging you.
Yeah.
You know, is there any other questions? Nope. That's it. Awesome. Then I'm going to let you get back to your day.
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
And I think that comes back to, well, the close and following up is really, really hard. And I think a really, really hard skill, and it is a skill to gain, is guiding conversations.
Yeah.
I think follow up and closing, you can get in that habit. It's not really a skill. You can learn the option closes. There's books out there. There was even like a deck of cards that I just saw that you can buy. It's for salesmen, and it goes over every objection and how to overcome objections and close.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So there's so many things out there that you can literally just memorize, you know, but to actually gain the skill of guiding a conversation to a close, that's something that you do have to gain. You do have to learn that. It's not something you can just memorize, I don't think. So, all right. So quick recap. 1, 2, 3, and 4. What were they?
Quick recap. Number 1, disagreeing with clients. Number 2, you did not follow up. Number 3, you never learned to bleed and smile. Number 4, you are not listening. 5 and 6 were in the last episode, and 5 being you are not making it easy to say yes, and you are not prepared to overcome objections. Number 7, you never go for the close. And last but not least, you keep talking past the close at number 8.
Yep. And I'll add on that, you do not know how to guide the conversation.
That's a good number 9. I like that.
Yeah, I think it's a big one on there. But thanks for listening to the DNA Pest Control Podcast. I hope everybody got to learn something new about common mistakes on sales. And I hope you can reflect and really pick out the ones that you've made multiple mistakes on. We all have done it. So reflect and really think about what you need to work on most. Me personally, it would be, at least it was, following up and closing. That was a huge one for me. But all of them are all valid and need to be worked on a consistent basis. Because if you stop doing one, you end up losing that skill, and that habit. You can always reach out to us through the website. at dnapestpodcast.com. Gmail we have as well, so you can email us at dnapestpodcast@gmail.com. And of course on Instagram, you can message at dnapestpodcast. Thanks for listening and have an awesome day.